Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya wal Mursaleen wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. Respected elders, dear youngster, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today inshallah I am going to explain tafsir of Surah Al-Baqrah Ayah 226. This is again about swearing. Swear means that somebody make a commitment with the oath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the terminology for this is mostly used ilah. We are going to listen to the ayah and then I'm going to explain you translation and tafsir of this ayah.
للذين يؤلون من نسائهم تربص 4 أشهر فإن فاءوا فإن الله غفور رحيم.
Those who vow abstinence from their wives must wait for 4 months. But if they reconciled, God is forgiving and merciful.
The simple meaning is, for those who swear not to have a sexual relations with their wives as a waiting time of 4 months. But if they return to the normal relationship, then indeed Allah is forgiving and merciful. The ayah was revealed to protect the women's right, to protect the family, to keep the relationship and bond of a family more stable, more lasting. Ayam Jahiliya, before the period of ignorance, before Islam, male was dominating in African and Asian societies and even all over the world, even in the Western societies and even in the West. So they want, mostly when they are angry, they want to punish their wives. And this is, I swear that you are like my mother or like my sister, or I should not have any relationship like husband and wife with you. I don't like you. When he showed this kind of an anger and make kind of an oath, now legally by Sharia, when anybody took an oath, he is bound to perform that oath. So now he said, I'm not going to have a relation because if I'm going to have it, then I'm going to breaking my oath. This is again a negative attitude. And by this technique, they keep the women waiting for 6 months, for 10 months, for a year, for 2 years. And now a wife become a hanging. Neither she has a respect in the husband house because he ignored and blamed her and he showed anger and he swore that he's not going to treat her or accept her as a wife, and she do not have kind of a respect in her parent house. And this is a question of the human rights. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Islam has protected a woman and a wife and give him a right that if the husband is not changing his attitude, then the divorce will be established. So this right was given to a woman, to a female, to a wife 1400 years ago. And this right was given to the modern world in Western countries after a hard struggle of the female, after First World War and Second World War, and making some kind of resolution in League of Nations, and then making some kind of resolution in United Nations. Unfortunately, people don't understand Islam. So they blame that Islam do not give a right to the women or do not respect the women. Unfortunately, the Asian society, the African society, and even in the European society, and even the South American societies, were male-dominated society in the beginning because male was physically strong. And the second was he was earning more, he has got more earning capacity as compared to female. Since he was providing her his living, if you are providing her his living, then she has to respect him. She has to follow him. And this is the reason that in Islam, the responsibility of feeding a family, a wife and his children are on the male, on the husband. and he is responsible. And if he is not performing his duty, then his privilege goes down. If the female is earning, then she has got more respect and more privileges, other extra her rights. Now this is very important. The concept is that now 4 months is basically a very reasonable period. Is 1/3 of a year. So this period is given so that a person think about it. Maybe he has taken the decision in anger, maybe in sentimental way, maybe carried over some kind of situation which was abnormal. Then he has to pay the compensation for the oath, which is feeding 10 people, and then cancel it. This is more important, it's more good, because Allah is Ghafur Rahim. Allah says Allah is most forgiving and most merciful. And similarly, if a woman think that she was wrong, then she has to seek a pardon, or make an excuse, or make kind of repent to her husband, saying that she was wrong, she's not going to do it. So he should cancel his oath and pay the compensation. And similarly, the member of the husband family and the member of the wife family should have a meeting to each other. In this 4 months, they should try to understand, they should try to know the problem and try to solve the problem by making a reconciliation among them. And if the man is still determined on his decision, then the divorce will be exercised. Then he doesn't need to have a separate divorce. This will be exercised as a divorce. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that always try to make kind of a reconciliation. And this is reason that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He is Wallahu Ghafur Rahim, that Allah is very kind and very forgiving. So whoever is doing a mistake, and if he realizes his mistake, it will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet said that divorce is allowed, but that is in extreme situation. It's the most hated act by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's only just to, when there is no chance, then you are allowed to do it. Whether it is demanded by the wife or whether it was exercised by the husband. Islam has given a right to demand a divorce on many occasions to a female 1400 years ago, which was not at that time given this right in any societies of the world at that time. Whether it was a Jew, whether it was Christian, whether it was Hindu, whether it was Buddha, whether it was European, whether it was non-European, whatever it was. Islam was given in a legal way. So the details, this ilah, I can swearing that a woman is not going to be, my wife is going to be like my mother or like sister, or where he cannot marry, like a mahram relationship. Details are given in the fiqh book. So whoever fiqh, you are following, you like it or you prefer it, you can go to the fiqh book and you can read the details according to the Quran and Hadith. I'm just giving you the guideline according to the Quran al-Kareem. Now the next ayah is confirmation of the same statement.
And if they resolve to divorce, God is hearing and knowing.
وإن عزموا الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم.
And if they resolve to divorce, if he is determined, if they decide on divorce, he's not going to cancel his oath and pay compensation, then indeed Allah is hearing and knowing. Why Allah is hearing and knowing? Because if he's hiding something and making an excuse, oath for a divorce, and he was just making a hypocritical attitude with his family and with the wife's family, because he wanted to divorce her and he was making an excuse, and he made a different thing, excuse, a small issue, made an excuse, and he divorced it, then Allah is knowing. And he will be punished. Allah is most hearing and more knowing. Allah is going to punish him on the day of judgment. And the other thing that he repenting just to give his wife punishment for the next time, and he does not have kind of sincerity with her, even then Allah is knowing and hearing. He will be punished for his deed. So the objective is, Islam is that both sides should have got a freedom of choice within a reasonable area, with a reasonable bond and try to keep the bond of marriage, relationship and husband and wife, because it's going to disturb both families, going to disturb the children. It is the most hated action in Islam, but it is allowed only because it is the only chance to survive the relationship. Otherwise, it's going to damage both individuals, their personalities and attitude. They can take a more serious action, or they can indulge themselves in other evils. So that is the only thing. And now these points have been realized by the different civilization, and they have adopted the regulation in Western countries, the right of divorce, even in Hinduism, where there was no divorce. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam has given this opportunity 1400 years before. So blaming Islam, that Islam does not give a right to the women, is wrong. It is only our culture. Unfortunately, the culture are so dominating that they ignore all Islamic Sharia law, whether they are inheritance, whether they are divorce, whether they are other individual rights of the properties. And this, unfortunately, the male societies are so, especially India, Pakistan, they are so much influenced by Hinduism, because Hindu treat, a female very, very badly. And there used to be sati tradition that if a person dies, and when they burn his dead body, she used to jump into the fire and burn herself because she don't want to live after him. So these are the area who's influenced our society, and unfortunately, due to our mistakes in our social behavior, Islam is being blamed. I will request my all listeners and viewer that please, when you try to read Quran Majid, do not read only Arabic. Try to read Arabic and translation, whatever the language you are, because now the translation are available in all language, and try to read some kind of a tafsir, more detailed commentary, or try to read some fiqh book, so that you can understand Islam properly. When you will understand Islam properly, you will be able to convey to other people in a nice manner, in a more educated manner. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. Inshallah, the next ayat we will discuss in the next meeting. Wassalamu alaikum.